Sorry, yo no confío.
Hello. How is everybody doing? Yes, I have decided for this video, because it's a little tiny bit lengthy. I'm swatching all the acrylics that I got from Temu for the Reconca brand, and then this one here, this yellow, and then the black and white are just 3 of those liner brushes that I got. Or I'm sorry, I always call them liner brushes. Gel liners that I got from Temu. I think the brand is like, or the name of them is just gel nail art. Or like, that's the name on the bottle. But anyhow, I did yellow, black and white, because I don't have a yellow gel liner. Gel liner. Oh, one of these days I'm gonna get it right. And then also black and white, because I use the hell out of my black and white, like to the point where I have to use like just regular gel polish with like a liner, just a regular liner brush, because my black and white that I got from my iGel Beauty is like pretty much gone. It's gone. So I had to get more, but these are hella good, man. I couldn't believe it. Look at that. I'm holding up so you can see that you can't see through them. That was one coat. One coat of the black, one coat of the white, one coat of the yellow, and you can't even see through it. So I'm going to go ahead and start here. This is the clear from Reconca, which is really good. FYI, this whole brand is like the shat. It's like so good, which was very surprising to me. I had gotten a couple sometime back, and I was like, there's no way they can all be like this. But no, they all are. Even with their pigments, which are very, really strong pigments. And I'm showing you that nothing stays inside the brush. There was like 1 or 2, I believe, that marbled out of this whole haul. And I got almost, I think, every color group or whatever, because they sell them kind of, you can buy them individually, but they have them posted on like on Temu. When you shop, they have them like in clusters, like all the blues, the pinks, the nude colors and whatever. So I tried to get pretty much a little bit of everything. So anyhow, I have decided to do a story time with this. And I know story time is like telling a story, so maybe that's like the wrong way to put it, but kind of like a little getting to know me. That's what I should have called it, getting to know me. And I think I'm just going to just jump right in and get started. So once upon a time, a long time ago, in a land very far away, just kidding, I'm going to start, I guess, with the basics. I am a 42-year-old Hispanic female. I'm an old ass bitch. No, 42 is not old, because I know older women are like, oh, if you think 42 is old, then what the hell am I? No, 42 is not old. I actually don't feel old. I mean, my physical, like, body, whatever, I'm old. But, like, mentally, I feel like I'm, in the 18-year-old range. So I was, okay, rewinding, go back. My father was in the military. He joined the army. Him and my mom married at a very young age. They were 16 when they got married. And he joined the military, he joined the army, and was sent overseas. He went to Korea, blah, blah, blah. 1980... this bitch was born. I was born August 18th. Am I giving up too much information? Well, I'm a Leo. What? Anyways, I was born in Alaska. My dad was in the military, like I said. So my sisters were born in Colorado Springs. I have 4 siblings and myself. So it's a total of 5. But it was 4 of us for a long time. My 2 older sisters were born in Colorado Springs. We're stair-steppers. So it was like 78, 79, and 80. My brother was born in Washington, D.C. He was born in 83. Is that a lot of information? Fuck. Fuck it. I'm going to say it. Anyways, and then when I was 16, my younger brother was born here in San Antonio. Well, I'm from San Antonio. So anyways, I don't know if I say I'm from here, but because I wasn't born here and I wasn't really raised here per se in my younger years. So We left Alaska when I was about 3, headed to Washington, D.C. My brother was born, and then we headed to Germany. In between every single trip, we came back to San Antonio. My mother and father were born and raised here in San Antonio. Their parents came from Mexico. They migrated from Mexico. So my grandparents are from Mexico. And of course, great-grandparents and so on and so on. But my parents were born in San Antonio. They were born in San Antonio, Texas. And so they were like elementary school sweethearts. And they ended up, getting married at a young age. But anyhow. So every single time we moved, we would come back to San Antonio. And then we go to wherever my dad would station, wherever they stationed him. So we did go overseas. I was in Germany at a younger age. Came back to the United States. We went to Kentucky, then back to Germany, San Antonio, Kentucky, back to Germany, Tennessee, San Antonio. My father retired from the military when I was I want to say 11, I think 10 or 11. And at that time, I didn't know my parents were going through rough patches. And they only spoke Spanish to each other. They spoke English to us and Spanish to each other. So I knew nothing of Spanish. I grew up only knowing household things. My parents would speak that Tex-Mex to us. So it was go to the kitchen and go to the hielera and bring me the soda. So it was go to the kitchen, go to the refrigerator and bring me the soda. So it was speaking English, and every once in a while they would throw in a Spanish word, and that's how I grew up knowing those little tiny words. And it mostly went like that. It was very seldom. So I learned those words like that, but I knew almost nothing of Spanish growing up. I knew nothing of what they were saying. My sisters, even less. My brother really didn't know Spanish. Nobody knew Spanish. So when my parents, when we came back to San Antonio, my father retired and we moved back to San Antonio, which is their hometown. What was I? Oh, I had a squirrel moment. Anyways, they had a separation. So I was just barely getting turning, I think I was turning 12. That was the summer. So I was just turning 12. My birthday's this summer. So when my father and mother separated, we were living with my grandmother at the time. And then we moved into our own little apartment. My dad was, paying the rent for my mom at the apartment or whatever. And so she got a job working at a man's restaurant, blah, blah, blah. I went absolutely wild. I was raised in an extremely strict home, extremely strict Christian home. I wanted to throw that in there because my mother was, my mother was hella religious, yo. She was extremely religious. And my father was too, but not to that extent. He wasn't hardcore like my mother was. She was hardcore. So she, not falling asleep on the video. How did I not edit that out? Quit playing. Anyways, y'all quit. Don't judge me. I have insomnia and I fall asleep sometimes. And I try to edit all those parts out where I'm falling asleep. Anyways, okay, keep going. So, what was I saying? Oh, how I grew up. So, we lived in a very, very, very religious home, very strict. I was not allowed to do anything. I was not allowed to go anywhere until I got older. Even with friends, it was I barely got to spend the night. I barely got to hang out. We could go play outside and stuff like that, but it was oh, the street lights are turning on, time to go inside, that kind of thing. So anyhow, that's how I was raised, very, very, very strict. So my father was the disciplinarian, not by choice. My mother made him the disciplinarian. She spanked the hell out of us when we did wrong. And then when my dad came home, she'd be like, Juan, las niñas estaban haciendo todo esto. She would just go off on him. And he was tired of hearing it. So he had to spank us because she was get after them. You know what I'm saying? And I think it was because her spankings wouldn't really hurt us. She wanted to see hardcore tears. And as we got older, we started learning how to fight those tears back and be really solid when she would hit us. And so it made her mad that when she spanked us, we didn't cry. So she spanked us harder. And it was I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. So we would like go to the room and then cry. And when we were younger, I remember we used to compare our spanking whelps. Me and my sisters would be like, well, look at mine, and look at mine, mine's bleeding, or what. I mean, they were never like bleeding like blood, but it was like, that red that makes it look like they're bleeding. Anyways. So yeah, my dad was a disciplinarian, but not by choice. And I remember for the longest time, every time I wanted to do something, my mom would be like, go ask your dad. And I was so scared of my dad. I did not want to ask him nothing. I was so scared of him because she made him the disciplinarian. So I was scared of him. And I remember one day I wanted to go so bad to my friend's sleepover, and she was like, go ask your dad. And she did that on purpose because she knew I wasn't going to ask him. So I was like, what, fuck this shit. I'm going to go ask him. And I got the huevos, and I went to go ask him, and I was like, Dad. And I remember when I would talk to him, I'd be like stuttering, like, can I want to know if I can, like that. That's how I used to talk to my dad. For real, come on. Anyway, so I was like, can I go? And he was like, yeah, you can go. I was like, what the fuck? I can go. And I went to tell my mom. I was so excited. I was like, oh, Dad said I could go. And she was like, oh, you asked your dad? No, you didn't. Juan, dijiste que ella puede ir. She's like telling him, like, his name's Juan, John, whatever. You told her she could go? And he was like, yeah. Well, but you left it up to him, so I'm gonna go. Guess what? And after that, it was over. I was like, Dad, can I do this? Can I do that? And he let me do so much more. I never realized how lenient he was. I was so scared to ask him. Anyways, fast forward back to where we're at. So we're living with my mom. My dad left. Disciplinarian is out of the house. I'm going crazy. And I did. I went very wild. And not just me and my sisters too. I was about 12 years old. I remember and before that I had dabbled in like trying to smoke cigarettes and whatever, and like tasting my dad's beer that I used to find in the refrigerator. And it wasn't like a lot. My dad, he wouldn't drink in front of us and he wouldn't smoke in front of us, but the beer was in the refrigerator. And then I would go to my friend's house and like their parents had liquor and stuff. Anyways, and we would like sip it a little bit here and there, but nothing major. But when I turned 12, I tried smoking mota, which is weed. And I turned into a little pothead. I was smoking my ass off daily. I got to the point where I like rolled out of bed and smoked a joint, but that was like a little forward. Anyways, so that's what I did. And I was out of control. I used to run away. My mom called the police on me. They would find me. I would go to juvie. It was like a cycle, and then I started doing other bad things. And like thieving and stuff and when I get caught and whatever. So one day, and I think I was about 13 at this point. I was about 13, I want to say, or maybe almost turning 14. No, I was about 13 or 14. When 13, maybe it could have been the summer of 13 going on 14. And I had, started meeting bad people. And I know I shouldn't say that. Let me say this, running with the wrong crowd. We ended up moving from the apartments that we were living at because it was harder, I guess, for my dad to pay for his place and her place and whatever. So we moved back in with my grandmother. In San Antonio, the west side is like hood, you know what I'm saying? So my grandmother lived on the west side, and there was a bunch of, it's just bad. Think about hood. Like, what's there? That's what we had. So I fell in with the wrong crowd, and I tried coke for the first time. And I liked it. Like, I continued to do it. And that was my thing. Like, I used to, we would go party, and I was snorting coke, smoking weed, drinking, and whatever. And so that was like a cycle I did, it was just a thing, it was a thing. I started going crazy with it. So did my sister. Well, my older sister was. My middle sister, she tried it a few times, and she didn't like, I want to say maybe once or twice, she didn't like it. So, but she did like to drink. So anyways, I did that. When I was well into my, when I was 14 and I was maybe already getting close to turning 15 or something, I remember I was at a party one time and somebody offered me a line, and it looked very different from what I was doing before. And they said, and I was like, what is that? And so they were like, oh, that's Chiva. So I didn't understand something. Remember, I grew up in a very religious, strict home. So I did not know some things. And I know you think, oh, that's stupid. How could you not know? I only knew what the DARE program taught us. And I know half y'all are like, the DARE program, what the hell is that? And the other half are this, us more matured matured women are like, oh, I know what the DARE program is. Or, you know, people, men, women, whoever. Y'all know what the DARE program is. And it was just like a program they had back in the day where they would go to the schools and talk to the kids about drugs and how they were bad for you. They didn't like get into like detail about each one. You know what I'm saying? And I wish they would have, and they didn't. And I knew nothing about heroin. I knew nothing about heroin. So when I asked what that was, and they told me it was Chiva, and I was like, what the hell is Chiva? I've never heard of that. That's like what they call, well, it's one of the words they have for heroin. There's so many different words they have. Here where I was at or whatever in San Antonio is like, you know, Chiva or God, which are really weird names. And, you know, some people call it boy and whatever else. I don't know. Brown. We called it brown. Anyways, because it was brown. That's the color. So my point is I didn't know. And I was a stupid idiot. I was like dumb. Like I was me was like party, yay, living a wild, crazy life. I don't know what the hell that is, but I'm going to do it anyways. Please tell me what part of the game that is. I have no idea, but I did. And I remember feeling different when I did it. It wasn't like the cocaine that I thought it was going to feel like all this, you know, hyped and, you know, talking a lot and, you know, your numb throat and all this other crap. And it wasn't. It was completely opposite. I got nauseous. I threw up. I felt like just very relaxed but weird, you know. I didn't really like it. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I didn't like it at all. But being the person that I am, for anybody who knows me, I have always been the type of person that's kind of like a pushover. Like people get over, you know, like take advantage of me because it's weird. I'm like passive aggressive. I'm not like super hardcore aggressive, angry, whatever. But I guess I can get that way if it comes to my family, close friends that I love. This is the color right here. I'm sorry, I'm scrolling, but this is a very important moment here. Check this out. That color marbled like crazy. Do you see that? It was almost like, because they're taking like blue and green to make this turquoise color or whatever. So it marbled. I had to stop and I mixed it. And when I mixed it, I applied it again. And that's, well, okay, there you go. I thought I had already done it. My bad. So anyhow, you're going to see how it looks. Because I shook them, but I didn't mix them. So I mixed that color. I cannot find those tweezers. I now see here, when I filmed this video, I had those damn tweezers and I can't find them now. But anyhow, so you see how it didn't marble as bad, but it's still marbled. But that first one was like, it parted hardcore. You had like green in the middle and blue on the edges. Do you see that? So it's not as bad. When you mix it, it doesn't marble as bad. But that one was one that did marble. Anyways, back to this story. So I did not know about it. I tried it. I didn't like it. But my dumbass did it again when it was offered to me. I don't know how to say no. That is the biggest problem that I have in life. I don't know how to say no. To this day, I struggle with that 2-letter word, N-O. You know what I'm saying? It has a lot to do with like hurting people's feelings and not knowing how to deal with that. And that's just something that I learned through the years, you know, and just from issues that I've dealt with in the past. And I don't really know honestly where it derived from. But I know, you know, at a younger age, I was a people pleaser. And to this day, I still am a people pleaser. I love doing for others more than myself. I've never put myself first. It's always about my kids, my family, my friends, and even people that are like, I don't even know. You know what I'm saying? I'm like meeting people like on the streets or something and helping them out. You know what I mean? I'm like at the store, person in front of me is like, oh, can you take that out and take that out because I can't get it? And I'm like, no, go ahead and put it in mine. I'll pay for it. I'm like that person. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I don't know how to say no. And not that they asked me to do that, but I don't know how to say no. And I don't know how to stop pleasing. I want to just make everybody happy. You know what I'm saying? And with that came a lot of trouble for me. It really did. So, that's kind of what happened when it was offered to me. I didn't want to say no. You know, you don't want to look like a weak punk or something. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to look like... And honestly, that wouldn't even have happened. But to me, that's what I thought. So I didn't say no. So there I am doing it again and doing it again and doing it again. And it didn't stop there, you know. And by the time I was 16 years old, I had already had gotten into some crap at school with like selling it, so to speak. Oh my god, am I being recorded? Am I gonna get I'm just kidding. Kind of. And then, like, you know, getting caught and going to juvie. And then when you're young and you go to juvie, it's like, call your mom, come pick you up. Not when it comes to that. You stay in there. And I stayed there. So I was thinking like, oh, I'm just going to go to juvie and they're going to call my mom. She's going to come pick me up. Wrong answer. I stayed there. And that happened when I was 16 years old. That case followed me until I was well past, when I was about 18 or 19. It took me that many years. I remember one time I was in jail and I had got out on bond. No, I'm sorry. Not bond. I'm sorry. I went to court and then I had gotten, like, they told me, I had like 2 more weeks left or whatever, time served. But when that time came to do time served, and when I did my time and it was like time served, I still couldn't go home because I had a juvenile hold on me. Can you believe that? I could not go home from jail because I had a juvenile hold. And I was 18 years old. And they were like, all right, she's done here. Take her to juvie. Excuse me. So they handcuffed me and put me in the car and drove me to the juvenile detention center. And juvie's like, we don't want her. She's 18. You can't do nothing with her. Take her back to jail. So I had to go back to jail, and I had to sit there and wait in jail until my court date came because I took that case to trial, and I had to wait for my trial date to come. But before my trial date came, my lawyer came to see me and told me that there was insufficient evidence. They could not find the evidence. Therefore, I was being released, and they dropped the charges. Isn't God good? So anyhow, I'm jumping all over the place. The point being, I tried a drug that's extremely hard. I did try heroin. I used heroin, and I got hooked on heroin. And anybody who knew me could not have even imagined that for me. Because that, like, what? Not even me. When I look back, I think, like, how? Like, how the hell did I do that? And that came from not knowing enough. I did not know what it was about. I did not know what it does to you. Aren't they pretty, those colors, the blue colors? That's the whole collection. It's like a blue and green collection, I want to say. And then I don't remember if the yellows were separate or not. But those pinks and that pink and purple one, or that purple and lavender, what the hell am I saying? The lavender, those were separate. I just threw them in with that collection. Anyhow, yeah, so I think, like, if I would have known the long-term consequences of using heroin and in the manner that I used it, because, when I started out using heroin, I started snorting it, you know what I'm saying? And then eventually, yes, I did go a little further with it. It was like intravenous and whatever. And I'm just being totally transparent here. Regardless of whatever happens, regardless of whatever you guys think about me, regardless of whatever comes my way, that's not who I am. That's not even who I was. It's what I did. You know what I mean? It's what I did. And there's so many people right now that are suffering from this disease of addiction. It is hardcore. I think a lot of times, like, lack of knowledge causes a lot of people to try it, to experiment or whatever. And then there's peer pressure. And I know originally starting out that's where a lot of it stemmed from for me, was peer pressure. It was like that, not wanting to look like the punk, not wanting to look weak, That's where the weed started out, and smoking. I remember I was sitting in the circle. The first time I ever smoked weed, and they were passing a joint around the circle, and what am I saying? Okay. I'm sorry. I'm just stopping here to read with it. So there was like this one here. I didn't show the swatch at the end, so I slowed it down so y'all can actually see what color it looked like, which is a really beautiful color. That, real quick, Rukanka, it's an HS6, is actually a very beautiful, like, nude color, nudie color. It's like a peach nude. I actually bought 2 of those. That's how beautiful it is. So anyhow, moving forward. What the heck was I saying? I don't even remember. Oh, the peer pressure. So I was sitting in a circle. They were passing the joint around, and it got to me. I had never smoked weed before, but I acted like I did. I took that joint and I smoked it. I hit that I hit that thing so hard, I choked. And they were like, ah, ha, ha. They're all laughing at me. And I'm like, trying to like, fuck you, bitch. And like, hit it again or whatever. But anyhow, I got into a fight that day because they were laughing at me. I fought with this girl in the circle. Oh my God, I was such a terrible little teenager in my early teens. I was so angry. I was angry. And I wanted to fight with the world. Man. That wasn't even me. It wasn't even my character. But I remember that my mom told me all the time. I was always starting crap with everybody. And I wanted to fight the world. And she was like, what's wrong with you? Why are you so angry? Hi, Mama, what happened? Why are you so upset with everybody? And I'd be like, I'm not mad, I'm not upset, but I was secretly a hater. I was the true definition of a hater. It was like, if I thought you were more like pretty or like skinny and beautiful and whatever, I hated you. And that's weird. But I mean, this was like when I was 13 and 14. I don't know why, but it was just anger. I give mad props to beautiful women now. Beautiful women, big women, small women, skinny, tall, short. I don't give a fuck what you are. You are all beautiful. I give mad props, like mad respect now, because I know how everybody, I know how I felt. I grew up feeling like I hated myself. To this day, I cannot say I love myself. I have a very hard time with that. And this is all, girl, I'm in therapy, y'all. I'm dealing with it. I'm seeing somebody. We talk once a month. I probably need more than that. But what we actually did recently, change it to twice a month. But so I see my counselor twice a month, but still. So anyhow, I'm gonna go back to like not knowing, and I think that's something that we all need to teach our kids. Like, I think it's very important. I'm gonna get very proper and business-like here. It's extremely important for us as parents to teach our children about drugs. That's extremely important. I told my kids, I tell them everything. I am like a no-holds bar. I tell my kids every single thing. I've told them every drug story that I've had. Every single thing that I've done that was extremely stupid because I was high or whatever. I've told them everything that you think like, oh no, you should not tell your kid. No, I tell them, and they need to know. They need to know what can happen. They need to know what it could do to you. The consequences, how you behave, how it changes you. It alters you. Drugs are mood altering. They alter your mood. They change your behavior, your way of thinking. Everything. You are not you when you're under the influence, because there is a chemical change happening in your body when you put foreign substances in your body. And this is with anything. It's not just illegal street drugs. Think about it. Like when when you take ibuprofen, it changes your body has something going on. You have a headache, you have pain or whatever. You're putting this chemical in your body, and it's like, minimizing the pain or taking it away. It's changing something in your body. So this is, to me, it's very important that we teach our kids about drugs. You have to know. They have to know. And I feel like I'm strong. I'm a firm believer that helps. Because like my two oldest are 16 and 15. They could easily, look at me. I was a heroin addict at the age of 16. By that point, I was already hooked. I was done for. My son could easily be in that same position, in the same shoes that I was in. He has never tried anything, and that's by choice because of what I went through. He tells me, I don't ever want to do that. I never want to be like that. I never want to do what you did. I never want to go through that, and I'm so proud of him. My daughter, the same thing, So anyhow, I just think it's important, and that's what I went through. And it was hard for me. I struggled so bad. My addiction was so deep. I was working. I remember I got my first job when I was 16 at a pizza place here in San Antonio called Peter Piper's Pizza. And that was my first job that I got. And my paycheck, by that time I was hooked, but I wasn't like hardcore. I was like semi-addicted. I don't know if that even makes sense. It was like where I was using daily, but like not heavy, And at that time, I could almost kind of like skip a day and not realize that the mood swings that I was going through was that withdrawing type thing, or that like that discomfort that I was feeling was that. I didn't know. And I remember one of my friends who was addicted at the time, and I blame myself for that because I had turned her on to it. And I didn't realize at the time, I didn't know what I was doing. Hindsight. Like if I knew all these things, there's so many choices that I made that I wish I could go back and change. Anyhow. But she came to me one day and she said, PeeJay, the day that you wake up and your back is hurting and your legs are hurting, you're in big trouble. Stop now before that happens. And she told me that, and I didn't stop. I didn't listen to her. And so eventually I got really bad. I got to the point where I couldn't hold down a job. I couldn't. I started, hitting up malls and stealing clothes and selling them on the streets. And, that was my thing. I didn't do other things. That was me. I was a thief. I went to the, all the major malls and, like Dillard's and whatever. And this was way back in the day, y'all. Don't laugh at me. This was back in the day when like Tommy Hilfiger, you know what I mean? And like Polo and whatever. So that's what I would take, and I would go sell them at the little restaurants and whatever and make my little money and go, and then I graduated because that just wasn't enough money. I had already been to jail, in and out so many times. I had been to jail, but not for drugs. I thank the Lord for that. The only time that I ever got caught was when I was 16, and I didn't get caught with the drugs I sold to somebody. They got caught and snitched me out. That's what happened, and I was able to, that one got dropped. But I never really got caught with anything. And I remember one time I almost did. I was crossing the street downtown in San Diego, and I got pulled over. I got stopped for jaywalking. Like the bike police was like, "Come here, you come here." I'm crossing the street, and I was jaywalking like a dumbass with heroin in my purse. And so he calls me over, and he's like, "Let me see your ID." I had a warrant at that time, so I was like, "Oh shit, man." So I tried to lie about my name, and then they found out who I was because they're like, "We're going to take you for fingerprints." But that cop, it's crazy. That cop was like, "If you have anything you want to give to your friend," I had my friend was with me at the time downtown. He was like, "If you have anything you want to give to your friend to hold for you, go ahead, because I'm going to go ahead and put you in handcuffs." And I was like, "I'm okay." And then I thought, oh, you know what? At that time I snapped, "Oh my God, I have heroin in my purse." So I was like, "He didn't even search my purse, dude. He didn't even search my purse, man. That's crazy." That's like, unlike SAPD, they be searching everything, man. So I was like, "Hey girl, hold my purse, please." And she was like, "What the? Hold your own shit." Like, that's my friend. Yeah, that's a friend. I was like, "Girl, hold my purse, please." And she was like, "Oh, give me your purse. I'll hold it." Because then she realized, oh shit, that was our shit, mine and hers, because she was using also. She's like, "Oh yeah, here, give me your purse. I'll hold it for you." Of course, she did it all while I was locked up. But so anyhow, when the money that I was getting from thieving from the stores was not enough, I started going to harder, like bigger, like worse things. I'm very ashamed of this. I really am. And this is where I have this hard guilt that I carry for what I've done next, what I'm about to tell. And you know what? This is like, I told myself that I was going to tell this story, and I was not going to think about like how people, what they thought of me or how people saw me, because it's made me who I am today, And so I remember I was with a guy at that time, and he started breaking into houses. I did not want to do that. I remember being so scared, and he would like, "No, you're going to do." He was very abusive. I don't want to get into that. It's a whole nother story. But I remember the first time I did, I was so scared, and he would always put me in first because I was small. I was very tiny at the time. If y'all saw me now, y'all wouldn't believe it, because I'm big as hell right now. But back then I was like 98 pounds soaking wet, because I was hooked on this stuff really bad. And I was a heroin addict, but I would do like what we would call over here speedballs. I would put heroin and cocaine together and do that. So it was just really bad. But anyhow, and I started doing that with him, and I hated it, but I did. And I remember being so scared every single time. We would go into like the windows and stuff, make sure nobody was home, knock on the doors, and that's how we would go in. And I always went in first, and I thought afterwards, like, can you imagine if somebody would have just shot me on the way in because I'm breaking into their house? Like, how ugly is that, to not care enough about somebody who's supposed to be somebody that you supposedly love and care for, that you send them into a home. They don't even want to, I didn't even want to go. Aren't these glitters so beautiful? I'm sorry, I'm having another squirrel moment. These glitters are absolutely beautiful. Every single one of these glitters, y'all got to check them out. While I'm telling my little story, y'all pay attention, check it out. Anyways, because we're coming close to closing here. But, so I hated doing that, and I did that. And, I just think that everything happens for a reason, and God allows things to happen. And so eventually I didn't get caught in the house. What happened was we were in a stolen car, and I got caught. We got stopped in the stolen car. We weren't even driving. We were in a driveway, but I think somehow undercover saw the car. It was stolen or something. I don't even know how it happened. I was so high that day. But we were in a stolen car, and all the stuff from the house was in the trunk. So I went to jail for that. I was, bonded and didn't bond and what. I mean, that stupid burglary charge carried for years. I got that charge in 2001. That thing did not close and finish 2007. I went to jail so many times. I messed up. I went to rehab. I went to every rehab in San Antonio and messed up every time. They finally sent me to jail. To prison. I finally went to prison. I went to prison. I did about 2 years altogether and came out. And then I did good for a little while. Messed up again. They sent me back to prison. The second time I went to prison, I went to like a rehab prison, which is called Safe P over here in San Antonio. And I did a year there, and then I got out. Went to a halfway house in Austin. And of course I had been locked up, so I hooked up with somebody there, blah, blah, blah. Ended up getting pregnant. Didn't know I was pregnant. Came back to San Antonio. I successfully finished the halfway house. Came back to San Antonio, and I started using again. And then, not bad. Oh my God. This is another thing that I carry guilt for. You know what? And like I said, I'm full disclosure here. It wasn't hardcore. It was not, but it was, what's that called? Like leisurely, or I don't know what you call it. Anyways, at one point I remember having this crazy dream vision. It wasn't a dream. I wasn't sleeping. I'm not gonna lie. I had this weird vision when I was high in the bathroom that there was a baby in my stomach. I know that sounds really weird. Y'all gonna think I'm really crazy, but it was true. I called my mom. She's like, nope, we're gonna go get you checked. And I was pregnant. That day I found out I was pregnant. I'm over here hitting my hand like this, boom, boom. That day I got help. I got off the crap. I went to go see a doctor at a clinic, and they had given me some medication to help wean me off of the drugs. And then I had to eventually wean off of that. So that's how I stopped. My son saved me. My son saved me. I remember thinking when I was in prison in Jotzi, so many mothers that couldn't help but not care for their kids. And I remember thinking, I never want to be like that. I never want to not care. If I ever have kids, I never want to not care about them. I could never do that to them. So when I found out that I was pregnant, this was my first pregnancy for my son, I had to stop. So my son saved me, and I'm so grateful for that. And so I've been clean since August 2nd of 2006. And now I just deal with crazy people and crazy relationships. But I am nearing the end of this video. And I know it's really long. I'm really super appreciative of anybody who has decided to listen, who has stuck it out for this long video and listen to my little life story in a nutshell. My life story in a nutshell. I am who I am because of the life that I lived, and I'm able to be understanding of people who were in my situation, and I think that helps me be more. It just increases my heart. I love everybody. I love everyone. I just do. Everybody is special. Everybody deserves to be happy and have a full and blessed life. We all do. And I just pray that eventually, if you are not, that you reach a point in life that you understand that you are worth something, you are loved, you are blessed. And even if you think you're not, you think that nobody loves you, I love you. God loves you. Somebody loves you. Your kids love you. Maybe you're married, your husband loves you. Your family loves you. Somebody loves you. Whether it's your higher power, your greater power, however you want to call it. But you are loved. You are special. You are somebody. You are worthy. And I know that I struggle with that. And it's like easier said than done kind of thing. But if that's what I need to do for now, until I come to the place where I can, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Where I come to the place, I get to the place where I can say, I'm happy with myself. Yes, I love myself. I know I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it. And that's what it is. I think we all are a work in progress. You can look at somebody and think they have it all together. You know what I'm saying? They got it all together. They have, whether it be money or a nice house or a nice car, or whatever, but you have no idea what they're going through. We don't know what they're going through or how they're feeling or how what they truly feel or whatever may be happening to them in their life. We don't know. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I think the problem with the grass is greener on the other side thing is it's a facade. It's not real. Isn't that green beautiful? That green is absolutely beautiful. But I think my hope or my wish or whatever for everybody, excuse me, is that we all eventually realize our self-worth. And that's myself included. We all realize our self-worth. You be proud of who you are. I'm a Latina. I'm Hispanic. I'm very proud of my culture. I'm very proud of my heritage. I'm extremely proud of who I am. And I teach my kids to be proud of who they are too, because they struggled in their school. And there's not very many Hispanics in their school. And so they do get picked on. And that's something that I'm dealing with, putting them in a new school, in a new environment, because I think that's wrong. We should all be proud of who you are no matter what. You know what? Like I said, I mean, we're a work in progress every day. Nobody's perfect. I'm not perfect. I'm just forgiven. And I believe that everybody deserves forgiveness and a second chance, no matter what. I don't necessarily know if everybody deserves a third, fourth, fifth, and sixth chance. But I know that everybody deserves a second chance, at least that. So, if you can at least do that, forgive somebody today, love somebody today, give somebody a second chance today. You know what I mean? I don't know, just try to find positivity. And it's not easy in the world that we're living in. It's crazy. It's hectic. But just try. Just try. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know. Hopefully I have entertained somebody. So again, I appreciate everybody who sat through this video, who has been supportive of me. I am truly blessed to have the people that I do have watched that support me in my journey. We're all growing, we're all learning. You can never know everything, and you can always learn something every single day. So I appreciate every single one of y'all. I love y'all. God bless you guys. And with that, I will close and end here. Y'all remember, you can find all these colors on Temu. It is the Reconca brand, I guess, whatever. And they're like $1, under $2, like $1.70 or $1.80 per jar. So I'm gonna catch y'all on the next one. I love y'all. Goodbye, everybody. And adios. Auf Wiedersehen.